Hey there, Wargamers, Justin Paint here, and today, boom, we're going to check out some Battletech. I'd like to welcome you guys back to the channel. If you are new here, please alpha strike that like and subscribe button. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for tuning in today to help further support what I do. That said, today we're going to be checking out the Battlefield Support Assault and Cavalry Lances from the most recent Battletech Mercenaries Kickstarter from Catalyst Game Labs. I'm not sure when this is going to hit general sale for the public, hopefully over the next couple of months, but that said, I do want to get into this box so I can showcase it for you guys today. Alright guys, now it's time to jump into the Battlefield Support Battletech Assault and Cavalry Lances. As always, we will take a look at the box first. There's no price listed on it, but as I've said in all these, I feel like the price value was valued such that I was fine buying 2 of each of these boxes, so I would have 4 of each vehicle, aka lances of them, and I felt like the price points were very comparable to or competitive with the stuff that's on the market right now via 3D prints or third-party minis that you might proxy with, such as things from Cav, Heavy Gear, or Death Ray Designs. As always, I always give you guys a moment to see the inside. This would be cool if it was an insert. It's not, but all the Battlefield support boxes for the vehicles have the same exact image on the rear. So no new art for every one of them. And here are our minis. And we'll jump into the cards. Now, as I've said in every one of these videos, I don't play a lot of Classic, so these cards here don't have a lot of value for me. But for Classic players, I think they do. I know the Battlefield support rules are currently in the Mercenaries box. I don't know if they're available anywhere else, so if anyone knows, if they're in another book somewhere, sound off in the comments below, let me know. I know from everything I've been told, from Classic players, vehicles can slow the game down. That's another thing to track, lots of pips, lots of minutia for running them. This is going to allow you to add some vehicles, a little vehicle flavor and new stuff to your games for Classic without slowing the game down too much, so you can get a little bit of that feel without getting bogged down. So while this isn't something that is necessarily useful for me currently, it is a good value, I think, for the box. And if I ever get into Classic, I have these. And I like Combined Arms, and hearing that it slows down Classic so much gives me hope that those cards will have some benefit for still being able to play with lots of minis and not have the game take, a year. So to jump things off, though, let's check out the Alpha Strike cards we have in the box, which are good for anyone who's wanting to play fresh out of the box, but anyone who's a veteran, obviously going to go to the MUL. So if you're interested, you can fast forward to see the minis if you just want to skip the cards. That said, jumping right into it, we have the Demolisher Heavy Tank at 27 points, usable in the Succession Wars through the Ill Clan, Team M1, 6T, 440 for damage, 9 life, AC4 EE Search Turret. Yeah, so I like the damage output, not so much the survivability, but it makes up for it a little bit with its life. I'll be curious what the other variant is here. So this one's coming in at 11 points more. Yeah, 11 points more. Ill Clan Era, Dark Age, 1 Team M, 8T, so it's a little faster. It's got considerably more damage, considerably more HP. 660 for damage, 12 HP, Case FC Search Turret. Is it worth it to spend 11 more points? Maybe. This is for the cell variant. I do like that huge jump in damage, 50% more damage, and went from 9 life to 11 life. So a little bit of a jump there. Not too bad. Still a little bit pricey, probably competing with mechs at that point. We've got the Gauss variant at 34 points, usable in the Clan Invasion through the Ill Clan Era. 1 TMM, 6T, 443 for its damage, 11 life, Searchlight, and Turret. Not too bad relative to the other ones. It's a little cheaper, and it's shunting some of its damage from short and medium to long relative to this guy. So between the two, at a 4-point difference, the 1 for 6 damage is probably more bang for your buck if that's what you're looking at and you're playing in that era, mostly because you're probably going to be shooting mostly medium range anyway. If you're going to bring units with long range, trying to plan out how you do it or make sure you're playing games that have long range to begin with, because most games of Alpha Strikes for most players are probably played on a 4x4, so you're not getting the long range very frequently. Once you move forward and deploy and shift your models forward, you end up in medium range half the time. At least half the time, more than half the time, most of the time. So now we got the Clan Demolisher here, usable in Clan Invasion through the Ill Clan, 1 TMM, 6T for movement, 650 for damage, 11 life, Case, Flak, Searchlight, Turret. This one, compared to my baseline, has comparable HP, It is a little easier to hit. It's a little slower, but it has a nice chunk more damage. So not terrible. There's some stuff that's probably a little bit more survivable, but if you utilize the terrain and trees, if you have it at your disposal, you'll be able to leverage that 5 damage, which is really nice. Next up, we have the Shrek PPC carrier, and I had confused this with the stuff in the previous box that had triple barrels. This one looks a little bit bigger, so that makes sense for why that one would be the Shrek, because this is basically an assault tank. It's a 4 size. So it comes at 25 points, Succession Wars through Ill Clan eras, 1 TMM, 6T, 333 for damage, 8 life, E&E, Searchlight, and Turret. So it's not going to explode because no ammo. Relative to my baseline, it is cheaper, albeit a little bit easier to hit. But if you're shaving off at that point about 8 points, that starts adding up as you're shaving per unit, and you're starting to build something. So I don't mind that at 25. That's pretty solid for a 333. Coming in at 29, so 4 points more, you have the Shrek Gauss Carrier, usable in the Clan Invasion, Ill Clan era only. TMM 4, 6T, 233 for life, and damage, and 9 life. ECM, Searchlight, Stealth. So yeah, I do like the Stealth. That's a big deal. You're paying, 3 points more, 4 points more. You lose 1 point of short range damage, but you're probably going to be sitting at medium mostly. If you're playing a larger table, even better, being able to leverage that stealth. ECM's great because it shuts things down, but having stealth with this guy is going to help offset the only 1 TMM, so that changes things a lot. At that point, effectively at medium range, he's kind of being treated as 2 TM most of the time. If he's moving, if you don't move, you still have your stealth, and if you park in trees, even better. So like you park this Shrek Gauss Carrier in a tree line, move him to get your TMM plus stealth, and all of a sudden you have a pretty beefy tank that's going to be hard to dislodge, that's consistently rolling dice. Not too bad. I like that variant if you have access to it and you're playing in that era. Next up, we've got the XL Shrek PPC carrier at 28 points, usable in the Clan Invasion through the Ill Clan. TMM 1, 8T, 333 for damage, 9 life, E&E, Searchlight. So 1 point less than this guy. He gets 1 point more at short range damage, and he loses stealth. So, but he's usable in more eras, so not bad. I like that. A little, not quite as survivable. Actually, it moves faster too, versus this guy's 6. He's got an 8. So it's not quite as survivable as my baseline because its TMM is a little lower and its movement's a little lower, but not terrible. I don't hate this tank. Might be worth giving that one a shot if you want to try something out. Okay, here we go. Shrek AC Carrier, 24 points. Succession Wars through the Ill Clan, 1 TMM, 6T, 322 for damage, 9 life, AC, EE, Search, Turret. So yeah, this is not bad. Again, shaving some points. Your medium range damage is going down a little bit, but it is only 24 points for what he does. So probably worth giving that a shot. That's pretty good. I don't hate that. All right, so next up we've got the Pegasus Scout Hover Tank at 25 points, usable in the Succession Wars through the Ill Clan. Team M3, 16 hover, 220 for damage, 5 life, EE, Search, SRM. I don't hate the damage. The TMM's great, the move's great, but there are other hovers I have reviewed or read the cards for recently from this stuff that might have only 1 or 2 damage, but have 4 TMM and more move. And I think for hovers, I really want to just use them to get up and harass, not sit out at any range. So for me, because they're kind of danger close units in my head, getting the ones that are cheap because I know they're going to get shot at is probably where I'd want to go. So we'll see what the other variants here have in store for us. Okay, well, not cheap, but it is upgraded. So the upgraded Pegasus Scout Hover Tank coming in at 38 points versus 25, so a 13-point increase. Looks like it picks up 1 pip of HP. This one's only usable in the Ill Clan and Dark Age era. 321 for damage. It's got that 4 TMM and 22 move, or 22 hover move. So it is definitely harder to hit. It moves a little bit further. It's got IF, Probe, Recon, Search, so if you need those abilities, you've got those. At 38 points, though, there might be some other stuff that is more useful to harass with, especially if you're using like a Dire Moth, Fire Moth, which would have much less life, but have more movement, same TMM, and could have probably more damage and drop a battle armor off. You're competing with things like that, or a Locust, which would have I think 4 HP versus this one having 6, and actually the Locust might have 3. It might have half the life. But it would cost considerably less points and probably have similar damage output, and then a similar or really close TMM, so it might be a TMM 3 instead of a 4, but that's very expensive. I like the TMM 4, but there's probably some stuff you can use that's a better bang for your buck. We've got the 3058 Pegasus upgrade, coming in at 30 points, usable in the Clan Evasion through the Ill Clan era, TMM 3, Hover 8, or 18 rather. So definitely giving up a TMM, and it's slower than the one we just looked at, but it's 8 points cheaper. 220 for damage, 5 life versus the 6th one we just looked at. ECM, Probe, Recon Search, SRM, Tag, Turret. The thing with this one is it's got the TMM 3, a decent move, and ECM. So if you bring in this one, you might be trying to skirt a little bit more in the medium and then just move that bubble of ECM to get use out of it when needed. Pegasus C3, 32 points, Jihad through Ill Clan era, TMM 3, 18 hover, 330, 5 life, C3, Mech HQ search. And if you're not using the Mech HQ optional rules, then not useful. And if you're not building specifically for C3, not useful. So if you're going to run that variant, you need to be building a list that is using it. If you aren't, skip it. And then finally, we have the Condor Heavy Hover Tank, 23 points. This one's usable in Star League through the Ill Clan era. TMM 3, 16 hover, 221 for damage, 6 life, EE, search, turret. Not terrible. I feel like compared to my baseline mech, it's got a little less life. It's got a little bit more dodgeability, so to speak, because it's harder to hit and moves further and has a little less damage. So could be worse if you're looking at it from that perspective. Looking at the laser version of the Condor Heavy Tank, 32 points, Ill Clan Dark Age era, so it's 5 points more than the previous one. TMM 3, 16 hover, 220 for movement, or excuse me, damage, 8 life, ENE, REL, and search and turret. I believe REL is some type of armor it's got, because I know there's refractive armor, but I have to look that one up. So, but it's nice it's got ENA, so it's not going to get exploded from an ammo explosion crit, because it doesn't have ammo. But it is a little bit more expensive, and you lose the long range damage. You gain 2 pips of HP, so it's kind of what do you have the points for and what are you trying to do. I do like the survivability of it, though. That's pretty nice. Though the fact that the REL is listed on the turret leads me to believe that's probably some kind of special weapon thing that I've just not seen. I think the armor thing I'm thinking of is RFA. I believe it's reflective or something like that. And then finally we have the Laser Condor variant. That's 34 points, and it's usable in the Clan Evasion through the Ill Clan era. TMM 3, 16 hover, 330 for damage, and 7 life, search, turret. So when we're comparing this to the baseline of the Mad Dog that I like, it does not have the same long range damage. I think it's got a little less HP, but it's harder to hit and has more movement. So if you're using this as like a medium range, like skirmisher kind of guy, driving around shooting stuff, not terrible. I have to keep flip-flopping back and forth between how I'm viewing the hover tanks, because some of them I want to get up behind you, and the other ones I have to be like, okay, well, if I'm comparing to my baseline, maybe they aren't getting close up. Maybe they're just sitting back and they're skirting a medium range shooting. So we got the Condor Ultra variant, 35 points, usable in the Ill Clan and Dark Age eras only. TMM 3, 18 hover, 332 for damage, 6 life, AMS, case, FC, RFA, search, tag, turret. Anytime you see something with AMS and RFA, both on the card, you got something that's nasty. So the reflective armor reduces energy damage, and it reduces non-energy damage by 1 and energy by a lot more. There's some negatives to it. You'd have to look in the book. They FAQ'd/errated them at one of the events. Matt LeBaron, one of the guys from Nova, that plays at Nova and plays at Southern Assault, had caught me on it because I was still playing with the core rules for how the negatives were for RFA, because there was a bunch of them. Like you took, I think, more damage from artillery and something to do with melee, I think, and whatnot. But they changed it. They took a lot of the negatives away, so RFA is really good, and there's very few negatives now relative to what they had in the initial rules. So non-energy weapons, RFA reduces by 1 to minimum 1. AMS takes your LRMs, SRMs, or IF that you get hit by, reduces damage by 1. Those stack to a minimum of 1. So you can reduce a lot of attacks. If they have non-energy, but they're shooting you with missiles, you get RFA and AMS and -2 damage. And you're at TMM 3 and they have to roll at you. That makes this guy really, really annoying to take out. That is really nice. So if you have access to that in this era, he's a little pricey. Scoot him around at medium range and shoot stuff. And anytime your opponent shoots at him, it's really going to take a lot of resources to take him out. So not bad like that. With the cards checked out now, let's go ahead and check out the the models, starting in reverse order of the cards. We've got the Condor here. Whoop, is that the Condor? No, this is the Condor. Sorry. Yeah, so he's got that big kind of demolisher-looking cannon on it. I like that. Yeah, that one's not too bad. This is one of the nicer vehicles I have looked at today for unboxing review stuff. I like that one pretty good. Checking this one for consistency, see if it looks similar, and it looks basically the same, so that's good. Moving over, we've got the Pegasus tank, or hover tank. Check that one out. So, relative to the video that I just filmed, I forget what hover tank it was, but it had a fin on the back. It might have been the J. Edgar. The details were super washed out and really thin. You couldn't really see. And this back part, this fin's also a little thin, but the details are defined. You can actually see them, and I know what I would be painting. So that's nice relative to the other one where it was so muddled. I wasn't sure what I was actually looking at. I wish that the missiles tips were a little bit more defined. One down here is like pretty deep, and the other ones aren't. That's a known issue that I've seen with these. And then the turret here kind of is a little bit rounded, where areas probably are supposed to be a bit more angular, like right at the front. Probably doesn't round over. It's probably supposed to be a flat edge. Not the end of the world, but you got a little mold line, so you're going to be shaving that, so maybe you can redefine it. And then I guess these are the cockpit, and that's just like maybe access hatches or something. So yeah, not too bad. I still like that. That's not bad. A little bit of cleanup, good to go. Let's check this one for consistency. Yeah, the mold line that the other one had here, this one doesn't look as bad on the top of the turret, so that's good. And here's the thing, so like they've struggled with some of the details being soft, and then other times they get stuff that's really crisp, and I think some of that's probably the orientation of how these are in the mold. You guys might not be able to see. I'm going to hold this and see if I can't get my camera to focus on my little fingers here. Come on, camera. There we go. Then you get stuff like this with these engines where, like, you guys might not be able to see, but there's actual, like, slats in here, like vertical lines where it would be, like, the engine going free, 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 you know, for the thrusters. It actually has that. You're probably never going to see it because it's so small, but they get that detail, and then other ones it struggles with. So it's very interesting, and I assume some of that is probably from the orientation of the model. Next up, we have the Shrek, and we'll grab that out and check these out for the details. Okay. So first off, I like that the cannons here, you've got the little jeweled area for the laser, so you can get that nice and colored up. Details on the top. Does this one pop off too? I don't want to break anything. There we go. So details on here are nice and crisp. Should reasonably be able to get in there with your paint, your wash, your dry brush. The treads look reasonable. I like the detail through here where you get to see a little bit of a difference in texture. I don't like this. I've mentioned this a lot in these videos. This stuff here, because that dips in, and it's a additive process where you need to putty things versus a subtractive where you just remove unnecessary stuff like mold lines. So mold line removal, I think, is reasonable. I don't like the idea when you have to do an additive process to fix something that they probably could have tried to do better on at the plant. Generally, especially because where it's at, because you have these two like panels here, and then it's a flat line because they're defined right here. Those panels are jacked. You lost that one completely. Like the top edge on this is never going to look like this one when it's supposed to be the exact same on both sides. It's not going to happen because of where that injection point is. If you put that injection point, if it was possible, I don't know how their molds are made, but if you put it like here on this flat and then you shave it, and then even if you had to do additive, it's just a flat. You're just putting something in. Right here, you'd have to resculpt by hand to make the panel on that left side look like this one. So what I would end up doing for this is probably it would be battle damage. I would just make it look like it had taken a nick. It's a little bit rusty, whatever, which is fine. But now the battle damage is going to be in the same spot on every one of these, I bet, because this is probably where it came out of the mold. Yeah, so it'd be the same exact spot every time. So you can hide some of the crimes, so to speak, but then all of a sudden all your tanks to do that would have the rust and the grime in the same spot. So that's Small thing, I'm still happy with these relative to the price. It's also on the back, so you're most of the time you're going to be looking at the tank top down, probably from the front. Or at least your opponents will be when you're playing, so that thing's less obvious. Also, these are small and you're looking far away, so not the end of the world, just something that I'm observing here. But in terms of model to model, this looks pretty consistent between the two. And then last but not least, we've got the Demolisher tank, which I think looks pretty cool at first glance. It's a hefty boy. I like the details on the side. And again, some of these from model to model, some look good and some look better, which is wild to me. And maybe that's just from like 3D designs from artist to artist and what got approved, I don't know. But like this one's really nice. The way that these panels bulge out and look interesting. It's not just flat. That's very cool. Again, got that ladder. Mold line going across the back to clean up. Won't be terrible. Treads look pretty good. And then the turret looks pretty solid. Yeah, it's pretty nice. I like this Demolisher. Is probably the best looking one in this box, I think. It's really, really good looking tank. And let's check this one for consistency's sake. Yeah, this is looking pretty good. Yeah, I'm all in all pretty happy with these. Again, I think even with the faults, the price point that you're paying for these is such that you can turn a blind eye to some of the stuff. I've given some critiques on things I think should be better, but all in all, for the price, not too bad. And there you have it, folks. That is a first look at the Assault and Cavalry Lance Battlefield Support Pack from the most recent Battletech Kickstarter. Hopefully you guys found this interesting and found something in here worth looking at. If you are currently waiting on your Kickstarter pledge, please be patient. I'm sure that'll get to you soon. Hopefully it'll get there so you can get your goodies, and I know you're ready to start playing games and doing some hobbying. If you've already got your miniatures, though, that's awesome as well. And in both cases, I'd love for you guys to get in the comments below if you have any thoughts, critiques, concerns, anything at all about the channel or this product. Let's get a conversation going. On that note, folks, that's all I've got for you today. If you want to help support the channel, check the description down below. All the relevant links for helping keep the channel going and fueled can be found there, and I appreciate all of your support. Make sure you guys keep painting your models, keep rolling your dice, though, and I will catch you guys next time. If you made it this far, you're probably a viewer that already hits that like button when you see a video come up. You're probably already a subscriber, and you probably jump into the comments down below to help support the channel, to help support that algorithm. But if you're looking for some other ways to help support the channel too, make sure you check the description down below. Maybe you want to pick up some paints from Monument Hobbies. That's my paint of choice. The Pro Acrylic line is chef's kiss, good stuff. Maybe you want to check out some of the offerings from Death Designs, where I work in my day job. We got plenty of 3D printed products, as well as MDF terrain, some of the stuff that I have designed myself and we play with here on the channel. And if you're looking to bolster your Battletech ranks, miniatures, and offerings, make sure you check out Bobby from Fortress Miniatures and Games. He's one of the main supporters of the channel as well, and supporting any of these companies helps support what I do and helps to ensure that I can continue to bring content to all of you. If you want to become a super supporter, I highly recommend you guys check out the Patreon. You guys get that extra little edge to help push more content out, and I really do appreciate that. And my ultimate goal on the channel is to continue to be able to not only put out the content we have now, but to get to a point where you can put out more content later, whether that be battle reports or painting tutorials or just more rambles, anything at all. I'd like to be doing more content for you. This is something that I enjoy. I like being able to cast a light into the darkness to bring a little bit of hobby positivity to all of you and make you feel good, and also enjoy playing games myself. As we do the final sign off here, though, I do want to go ahead and switch on over and do the scroll of awesome to showcase all the Patreon supporters, the super supporters of the channel, to give them some recognition for helping support what I do. Thank you guys so much, and I will catch you guys next time.